Hey everyone, welcome back to Tuesday Tea with me, Alicia Baker Mudrak. Melissa is not able to join us today. Possibly she might hop on in the middle. We'll see. Never know with these exciting things. But we do have Stephanie here. She was actually my wedding photographer and my engagement photo photographer. So I think about her often when I look at those photos, and she just has such a great energy and vibe is why we chose her. But she's also doing some really incredible things other than making people's special days memorable and magical. She has her own business and she's really encouraging other female entrepreneurs. And I just wanted her here to talk today a little bit about our series of Summer of Self and how we can, like step up, not apologize, step into our worth, own who we are, and really just live a more full life. So before we get into that, I'll let her introduce herself to give even more of an actual bio, not just how I see her. And then we'll kind of get into it and see where today takes us. So welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Yep. So everyone calls me Steph. I feel like that's my go-to introduction whenever I introduce myself to people. Immediately, it's friends call me Steph, but I think I just tend to be over friendly sometimes. And it's interesting that this topic we're talking about today, I feel like I am naturally someone who wants to people please a little bit, but not in the way like, normal way, I guess you could say. But a little about me, like you said, I'm a photographer, entrepreneur, currently working on, gosh, I I mean, I think I've mentioned this to you in the past, but my branding business is called 10 Hats Branding, and it's not 10 hats like conspiracy people, but number 10, I have to clarify that because entrepreneurs, we wear so many hats and we have our hands in all these different buckets and pies. And so that's who I am. And I feel like as an entrepreneur, you just kind of go with the flow and you find your groove, and there's something
Yeah.
new every day and a new challenge to overcome and conquer.
Yes, always. That's how I felt today. I was like, all the roles I've played today. So I totally can resonate with that for sure.
Yeah.
So when you kind of think about this topic of knowing your worth, owning your worth, just being who you are unapologetically, which
Mhm.
who can really do that? But like that's goals, right?
Yeah.
What sort of comes to mind, and where can we kind of take this and unpack it?
So I wrote something down the other day and it says there's a grief process in outgrowing old beliefs. And I
Mm,
don't even know, I think I was listening to a podcast maybe or an audiobook, something was quoted, and I was just like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And so I grew up, I don't even know if we've talked on a personal level really about my background, but
mhm,
I grew up extremely poor in a very poverty-stricken area. So we didn't have
mhm,
plumbing sometimes, we didn't have electricity or
mm,
food. I grew
yeah.
up eating cold canned food on a kerosene heater. We were happy. We didn't know how poor
Mm,
we were, but we were truly a happy family. We are blessed in that regard. But on the opposite end of that spectrum, you kind of claw your way out of that scenario. And I was kind of forced to you can either use your background as a crutch or like a
mm,
stepping stone. And I
mhm.
chose to just climb out. And, now I have three businesses. I'm currently working with the Department of Defense on AI technology, and it's
That's
being
awesome.
patented. It's crazy. And I just,
Wow,
yeah, so we're
congrats.
super excited about that. You're like one of the first five people to know outside of family.
And now
So
everyone's gonna
VIP.
know.
Um, yeah, but it's just that moment when you say no to someone who's underpaying you because you know your own value and
Mm,
worth, and
what
you
a
realize
beautiful
that there's a
moment.
whole pool of people ready to pay you what you're worth, and you don't need to like discount services. You can say no, and that's okay.
Yes, yes. And especially with my background as a therapist, I think it
Mm.
was like taught to us as part of our higher education is like, you're supposed to work for nothing. You're supposed to do it from the goodness of your heart. Like just the amount of other therapists I know who struggle so much with that money mindset of charging what you're worth,
Yeah.
the like struggle of do you leave insurance to go to private practice because insurance does not pay you what you're worth. And like, are you a bad person then if you're not taking insurance? Just in that field, there's so many feelings around it, and it's predominantly a female dominant profession.
Mm,
More men are getting into the field, but there's a lot of female therapists, and I don't think that's a coincidence that the money and worth thing is like a strong
yeah,
narrative in that to that target demographic versus it's not a problem in like Wall Street and what they're getting
right.
paid, right? Which historically has been a more male dominated field. So I
Yeah,
I do think it plays in of somehow we're socialized what we think of ourselves. Like it's already a hard conversation. I'm not saying like if you're a man, it's just easy to talk about a raise or whatever, but I do
mm,
think for women and in certain spaces, creative spaces, helping professions, it's there's this weird idea of like you're just supposed to like do what you love and that should be enough, or you're helping people and that should be enough, and like how dare
right,
you ask for more, right?
right. Yep. I mean, exactly. And the same in photography. I remember saying yes to small projects. And I finally, there was a boundary because at what point do you do 20 projects in like 1 week and say yes to everything because they're X amount? Or do you say no and go for like 5 and 6 figure projects, which
Yeah,
I mean, who knew that there was a market for that until you really just start believing in yourself.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what's helped you make that switch? Like it's so easy to talk about, we can like know these things, right? But I don't think it changes like like actually doing it. So
Yeah.
what do you think has helped you step into that unknown, but with that confidence of knowing that you are worth it and like take the leap or make that move? Like what's that journey
Mm.
sort of looks like for
That's so
you?
hard because I feel like there's so many moments that kind of compile and make you take that first step.
Mm,
Maybe it was working 35 and 40 weddings a year for several years because I was determined, we were determined to be debt free. And, thank
yeah,
goodness we're almost there. But,
that's
that
huge.
was the point when I was like, I don't want to keep doing this because I'm missing my weekends. We have 2 daughters that are now
Right,
in sports, and I was missing every single weekend because I had a wedding
right.
so
No
many
one's
times.
getting married on a Tuesday very often, so it's
Right.
often your weekends.
Exactly. Exactly. Unless it's a courthouse wedding, but hey.
Yes, yes. You're like, all right.
Yeah. And I think it was just wanting to buy back my time essentially.
Mm,
Um, Taking a hold of your own time. Yeah. I think that was more important to me than the money. And then once I realized I had that opportunity to do that, maybe that's what pushed me forward initially was just
mm.
something along those lines. Yeah.
So it sounds like knowing your value of hierarchy of values, time, family, that was
Hmm.
feeling more at the top than a certain dollar amount per se. And
Yeah.
so it
Yeah.
was easier to make that
Exactly.
negotiation, but
Mhm.
then to maybe come across some of these opportunities that would still pay you well, but you could
Right.
work less essentially, or on
Yeah.
your time, a timeline that works better for your schedule, have more flexibility over that, and and then move into maybe taking the leap to try those out.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I'll let you know, I have such a hard time, like even this conversation, it's so difficult because I'm naturally ingrained because I was raised very conservative and I
Mm-hmm.
just was taught not to talk about yourself. Like, and it's so
Mm.
hard. Like even this, sorry, there's a fly and I'm about to go crazy on him.
I hate it.
I opened our front door and the screen door, I guess must have let a little
Snuck
varmint
in. They
in.
like sneak in.
Yes.
I don't know. They're
Sorry.
like crazy
So
little
if you see me
creatures.
just eyeing something, I'm about to get it. Yeah.
I love it.
But just I have such a difficult time, and I feel like I can be real with you on this.
Yeah.
And you're so easy. I remember this was something I truly remember about you personally, is just you're so approachable and you're so warm. And it was always easy to talk with you, but it's hard for me to talk about myself, like I said, because we are raised as women to maybe not be so confident in a way, but we're allowed to be
Yeah.
confident, but not too confident. Like what's that Barbie
Right.
quote
The
on the
Barbie
movie where,
quote.
yes,
It's magical.
like
Look
that.
it
I
up
remember in the
if you don't
theater, I
know
was
it.
like,
Yes.
yes, I did it.
Yes. I cried.
Yes.
I was like, oh,
Yes.
I've
Oh
never
my
felt
gosh.
so
Yeah.
seen in my
And
life.
yeah, so even these questions you're asking me, I have to like force myself to really like open up. And it's okay to talk in this space and it's okay to talk about
Mm,
yourself. So if I'm hesitant, I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm just trying to
no.
be okay
Yeah.
with that.
Grow
It's
a
hard
muscle that's
sometimes.
not there. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's it's so challenging. And I think I read a really great book on our best behavior by Elise Loehnen. Um, and it's about the seven deadly sins and how they were what they are now, like created as a construct to keep women small. And one of them is around, and so religious or not, you could read it, the book. It
Yeah, I'm
obviously
like
has
over here.
roots. Yeah, it has like roots in religion, but it like we all subscribe to the tenets, regardless if you're
Hmm.
like an atheist or like a very devout, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But one of the things she talks about is this idea of yeah, like having to be small. So like you're supposed to be like there on top of it, all the things, but you need to not take up too much space. And she gets into the like and the jealousy one. It's like thou shalt not envy or whatever. So it's like the idea that we can't be too big or too showy because then and then boasting. So then we're being too boastful, but like we kind of hate everyone else who dares to be like that.
Right.
But like we, God forbid,
But we
we're
want to
not.
be like that.
But we want to be like that because
Yes.
envy is, which we talked about a couple ones ago, but like envy is want being wanting something someone else has, but maybe also being happy for them to have it, versus
Hmm.
jealousy is wanting what someone has, being mad about, like being angry. So the envy version, your envy often leads you to what you want. So if you find yourself like looking at that woman over there who can like talk about herself,
Yeah.
maybe you're not like hating on her. Like we tend to go to the like, well, fuck her, right? But maybe it's like, wow, like I wish I could do that. Like I'm so you're
Yes.
not jealous, you're envious that she can do it. You're proud of her, but it's telling you maybe that's a heart desire, right?
Hmm.
So it's a beautiful book, just like on recalibrating and reframing. Like, sure, don't do these things on some level, but like let's not use them as a tool to keep
I love this. I
gendered
can't wait to
women
read it.
small.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I wrote it
no,
down, so I'm gonna go get it.
she's really and it's very like researched. Like it's a good
Mm.
because I don't even think she is religious. That's why I also thought it was interesting. Like she doesn't really come from a religious background, so it's very like
Oh, neat.
an outsider talking about it all,
Yes.
not like I'm Catholic and this is what I believe. It
And I
was
think
so I
I
thought it was
feel like
interesting.
today we need those conversations. It's
Yes,
like, what was it,
yes.
C.S. Lewis and I'm not gonna be able to think of it now. C.S. Lewis and is it who wrote Lord of the Rings? Whatever his name is, I
Oh,
forget. One was an
Tolkien.
atheist. Yes,
Oh,
one was
okay.
atheist. One was
Yeah,
devout Catholic, and they were best friends. And
yeah.
now these days, heaven forbid, you have a discussion that's deeper than just surface level, and we
Right,
should be able to have these conversations. So,
right.
I mean, I'm all who cares? Like, I'm a believer, but
Yeah,
also totally open to anything and
yeah.
everything. Like, yeah,
Yeah. And I love it.
yeah,
It's just like it's just a framework of how we understand things too, right? Like we can use different words to talk about similar things, like astrology, enneagrams,
yeah.
whatever
Oh,
Myers test. They're all the same shit. It's how do you see yourself in the world and how do you describe your personality and what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? Like
yeah.
whatever you look to like define that or give meaning to it or a framework. And obviously, you can go like deeper off the end of all of those. But if you're like in this level, it's me saying I'm a Sagittarius to I'm an extrovert to I'm a three on the Enneagram is all the same
Yes.
conversation, right? It's just like what framework feels comfortable to talk about it.
Yeah.
But I think tying it back, like, but it's still getting comfortable to want to know about yourself, to then know who you are, to be able to communicate that to others
Yeah.
and to the world. And I think
Yeah.
we're sometimes taught to like, don't even look over there, don't even know, don't worry about it. We'll
Hmm.
define you, we'll tell you what you are. My profession will tell me what I'm worth, your profession, but
Yes.
that's not real because that's their
Right.
narrative and that's not helpful to us,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yes.
so I think that's what you're kind of articulating that you're learning even in this conversation is how to like feel comfortable
Hmm.
claiming what you do know about yourself, but like
Yes,
claiming it out
exactly.
loud, right?
You had
So
it, you said it so much better.
we'll full circle it. So it does,
Yes.
we're on topic, guys.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
So what do you think though? Because I feel like have to be you have to know it and be able to articulate to some degree if you like went for this defense contract
Yeah.
or if you're like marketing yourself as a woman who can help people and
Mhm.
charging a certain dollar amount to like help.
Yeah.
So I guess there is something you're like pulling on or have practiced or have gotten comfortable with, even if it is in a professional persona,
Yeah.
maybe it's easier.
I
But
think
like
it's
what is
go
that
ahead.
about? No,
I
yeah.
think it would be honestly like it's so easy in the social space because when I'm having conversations like this, it's more intimate, obviously. But when you're
Mm,
on a social platform, you have this. giant broadcaster for you.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit easier to convey a message.
Hmm.
And so I think that being able to stand, and this may tie into the next topic we're going into, but when I worked with Amazon and Zappos.com, so I had to basically force my way into this arena in the photography studio. So having that background and that foundation and learning really gave me, maybe that was also what's allowed me to have a little bit more of a louder voice because I know what my worth is because I come from so many different
Mm.
angles and I've got this well-rounded sphere of talents and skill set. And I think that that's probably where I'm most confident is knowing like I'm great at this. Let me help you be great at this, if that's a good way to say
Mm.
that.
Yeah.
So,
No, don't even ask permission. You are great at it. You can say that. So it sounds like because you are like, so this is just a fact about you, it feels
yeah.
easier to to put it out
Yes.
there. There's no like, "Oh,
Yes.
I don't know." It's yes, I am good at
Yeah,
that.
like I know I'm great at creating content for people. Like I know my
Yeah.
background is photography and videography, but I'm a storyteller and I love visuals. So being able to tie that
Yeah.
into each other and also being a marketing professional, like it just creates this little cup of tea for you.
Right. Right. Full circle. No, I love that a lot. I think that makes sense to me that like the more confident to our core we are in the thing in that aspect of our worth or value or whatever else, it feels more organic to
Yeah.
own
And you
it
don't have to
and
prove
wear
it.
it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly.
Tell me where the next topic you want to take us to, if you have your
Sure.
list, because I don't.
I have it over here. It says why women apologize for taking up space they've earned.
Okay, tell me about it.
So, one thing my mom always drilled into me was, you know, seeing success isn't about disrupting something. Like it's not disruption. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a right, like
Mm-hmm.
it's something that you just kind of create for yourself and whether you have the gumption to dive in and go for it. Um, like as I mentioned, I work with Amazon. So Zappos.com was bought out by Amazon.
I
And
think I knew that.
you remember that?
Yeah.
So I was a photo studio coordinator and I worked with all the fashion designers. We got to work with like Tommy Hilfiger and
Mm.
Wang and
Mm-hmm.
Vivian Westwood. So all the fun, incredible people. Well,
Mm-hmm.
we were told via email that we had been bought out by Amazon. And that was when we were told, like, hey, you have just a few weeks to decide if you want to stay where we are or if you want to move to new corporate in Vegas. And I had just gotten married and, I was just like getting established and really feeling great with like the buyers and everything. It was just perfect. But then this just threw a stick in the wheel, so to speak, because what the heck was I going to do if I had to move? Because our jobs weren't
Right.
guaranteed. Well,
Right.
I started noticing because I hadn't committed yet and I hadn't committed to moving yet. And I started noticing that supervisors and people above me were just not treating me differently, but there was just, how your gut just tells you something's off and you just like
Yes.
notice
Yes.
things. Well, started noticing things and it got to a point where it was a little bit aggressive. Well, one of the core values with Zappos is they're really big on, doing more with less, having like an open line of communication with superiors. And I was like, if this is really what this company is about, because I've been here however long, this is becoming a long story, sorry.
It's
Um,
fine.
I sent an email to our CEO at the time, and I was just like, I just want to see
What's
because
up?
this
Yeah,
is
if I'm
happening here.
allowed,
I know,
I'm
I was
going
like, I'm
straight
head
up.
of this location. Surely somebody
Yeah.
within an hour, I had a meeting with directors in corporate. He apparently had sent it down the line like, hey, what's going on? This girl just emailed me. It doesn't know me from Adam, but I had a meeting immediately with several people, including like a Zoom call with, people from corporate out west.
Wow.
And I had to kind of establish myself saying like, you don't have to start. I can't even remember how exactly it went, but nobody had looked at my resume, my portfolio, nothing. And I actually had brought my portfolio and resume with me to when we had to like interview with Amazon people when they came in like the following week. And I sat down next to someone who did not have a good relationship with it at this point. And I was like, did this person provide any of my information to you to show you what my salary range should be? anything. Nothing
Right.
was given on purpose, apparently. But all that to say, that's kind of when you have to like earn your place. You know, it's okay to take up space that you've earned. How about that?
Yes.
And
Yes. What a great example, especially in like a
long
very
story.
corporate world. No, but
Yeah.
I think it shows like all the nuances. But when you were like, what do you have to lose? Like, you're either gonna have
Yeah.
to move, which you didn't want to do, or get like shut out or whatever. So
Yeah.
you're like, let me put it out there. And it sounds
Yeah.
like it went
And what do
well.
I have to lose at this point? Yeah. What do you have
Right,
to lose?
right,
And
right.
you almost have to unlearn saying, I'm sorry for interrupting, sorry for stepping across that line, and instead saying, thanks for the space. Here's my idea. Like it's okay
Yeah,
to
yeah,
really put yourself there.
yeah. I think that's a huge one. Like we need to stop apologizing for shit that we should not be apologizing for.
Yes. And I actually have a tendency to do that. And I think it's again. So even though I have a great relationship with my mother now, she
Mm-hmm.
had a lot of issues when I was younger. And I feel like I was
Mm-hmm.
always walking on eggshells. There
Mm.
were times that my husband would tell me, "Why'd you say sorry?" And I'd be like, "Sorry." And he's like, "You're apologizing
Sorry
for
for saying sorry about the
apologizing."
thing I shouldn't have said sorry for.
Like, it's like, stop. It's a habit. You got to stop. We're cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
It's
I
such a
mean,
filler word.
yes. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so automatic. That'll be the challenge, everyone. Listen to how much you say sorry this week when it is not warranted. When you need to say sorry, that's
Yes.
usually when we don't. But like when you really, it's not like the weather's bad. Sorry. Like, okay, not no control.
What do you have to do with
Yeah.
it?
Like, so just think about it and try to think of a different word to articulate what the sentiment you're trying to say. Because I think sometimes
Mhm.
we're trying to say like we're empathizing with people, but it like
Mhm.
saying sorry that they're sick it is it's wrong,
Yeah.
right? Like that's that's terrible to hear that you're feeling ill. I hope you get better sooner. Oh, it sucks to be sick. I hate that. Not like I'm sorry. Like we all get it, but words matter to our brain because it's very basic in some ways. And then now I have some ownness every time I say that. And now I'm carrying
Mhm.
that around, even if it really has nothing to do with me and I don't need
Yeah.
to be apologizing, right?
So true.
And
So
it's
good.
tough because I do it all the time too. And sometimes I'm just like, I don't have another word. This is the only word.
I'm
I got too
sorry.
lazy. I talk all
Yes.
day. Let me just use what I know. Um, how, are there any like strategies or ideas that you would give to kind of help someone take their values or their backgrounds or what they do know to be true about themselves and kind of capitalize on those things to help build their confidence or worth in the areas that maybe still feel a little murky or
I mean,
harder,
it's
you know?
easy, it's easy to say it for yourself, but when you're like
Mm-hmm.
trying to like put it into action for someone else or in a way that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense for someone else,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think giving yourself opportunities to practice those things is one of the
Mm,
biggest ways to, I hope I'm answering your question properly, but
yeah.
one of the biggest ways to increase that, area of focus. I would just say giving yourself the opportunity to practice those particular areas that you want to strengthen, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah. And maybe with in a like as a more controlled environment, like sounds like with your husband, he could like call you on the sorry
Yeah.
thing. Or at that job, you'd been there for so long, you felt comfortable on some level to just like practice that assertive,
Yeah, and I
value
even,
driven
allowing
thing.
yourself to interrupt and
Yeah.
speak up for yourself, not just for yourself, but for something you believe in, whether that's at a conference
Mm,
table with your coworkers, practice
hmm.
at that conversation at home and being okay with interrupting,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Or even sometimes it's as much as I actually do know what I want for dinner and I'm going to throw it in the ring instead of just being like, I don't care. Maybe you do care. Maybe you're like,
yeah,
no, we're going to
yeah,
get Chinese food. Like, that's what we're doing,
I care.
family. Even if people don't love it, like, that's growing some confidence too of just feeling like your voice counts just as much as your two kids and your husband's
Being
voice
assertive.
counts,
Yeah.
right? Because sometimes like it's easier to just take the back seat, but then ultimately you're also denying yourself something too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
while that again seems small, and there are times when that is the right answer, like it, it adds up. It just adds up to then assuming we should always make it easy, be smaller,
Mhm.
not say too much, not have too many opinions. And that
Yes.
can trouble us in those bigger arenas
Yeah,
as well, right?
I agree. That's perfect. Yes.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, what do you think would be your last nugget of wisdom, takeaway thing for people to ruminate on
I
after
think
this?
like what is it? Like so it, I have this thing called the hell yes rule. Like create a hell yes rule. Like if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. And if you're not like
Mm,
sold on something, be okay with saying no.
mm,
Because there's going to come a time when you have the opportunity to speak up and you're just going to say yes because you're in a room full of people saying yes. But what if you really just wanted to say no? Or about
yeah,
anything? It could be tiny little things like you mentioned
yeah.
earlier, but create a hell yes rule for yourself.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing and opening
Mhm.
up, even if it was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Where can people find you? Is there anything you want us to know about that you're doing?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. My personal is at Mother Wander, like WANDER. And my branding business is 10 Hats Branding, the number 10 hatsbranding.com. But yeah, just come say hi. You'll probably find me barefoot or laughing somewhere.
I love it. Yeah, she has beautiful property. She's always doing fun things with her girls over there. Well, thank you so much, Stephanie. I really appreciate you being here today. I know this is going to be a really important and helpful conversation for lots of listeners. So
Thank you so
we
much
will
for
see
having
you
me.
next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, girl.